All right, friends. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. And we'll add a third one, Moedim L'Simcha. Moedim L'Simcha. We are in the Chol HaMoed period of Sukkot, the non-festival days. And so Moedim L'Simcha. All right, that's one of the three mitzvot of Sukkot. All right, one is to L'Shev Basukah, is to dwell or take your meals in the sukkah. The second is to Al Netilat Lulav, is to raise and shake the lulav. And the third is to be happy, believe it or not, to be happy. So it is a great festival. It's my favorite festival because you get to be outside in the chill of autumn. Although in Florida, it wasn't so chilly this time of year, and it was still humid. So not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. But it was a beautiful, absolutely beautiful day today. It promises to be a beautiful evening. I got to help someone put up a sukkah today. I know it's a little late, but sometimes you got to work with deliveries. So that was a lot of fun, and it was just a beautiful day. Going to be a beautiful evening, and it is Shabbat, so can't get any better than that. All right, Judy, would you like to bench lift, please? Light the candles. Bless. We're going to make the bracha. Pages 3, and then the bracha. Page 3, and then the bracha on page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'chad l'zmir shel Shabbat.
All right. Let's turn to page 9. Page 9 for a responsive reading. Page 9 at the top. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat we remember that justice is our duty and the will of our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. All right, let's continue welcoming Shabbat on page 20. Page 20, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamho v'zachor v'dibor echad, Yishmi'ahandu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem l'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'bracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh machshava techila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Mikdash melech yimelucha, Kumitzi mitochafecha, Rabach shevet Yemecha b'cha, v'hu yachamol alaychem la, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela, Itna ari me'afar kumi, Lishi bigdei tifartei chami, al yad nishai beit halachli, korva el nafshi gehala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavila, hitorhi, ki va orek kumihi Uri, shir daveri, kavod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavila, lo tevoshi v'lo tikolvi, mahatish tochachi matehemi, v'achyechesu aniyeh ami, v'nihivneta al tila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavila, v'hayu l'shimsa shosayich, v'rachaku kol mevalayich, yasis alayich Elohayich, ki himsos al kala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavila, yamin usmol tihiprotzi, v'et Adonai taharitzi, al yadish ben partzi, v'nismecha v'nagila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavila, boi b'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'bsola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikavila. Turn to page, 22. Psalm 92, one of the, we call them the 90s. A number of psalms from the 90s in the book of Psalms are in Kabbalat Shabbat, and they make up Kabbalat Shabbat. So, and 92 is the psalm for Shabbat regardless. So let's read together in the English, the outdented paragraph. A psalm for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzaddik tamar yifrach, ke'erez balmanon yiskeh, shetulim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. O Jinun Beseva, Yeshenim Bera'ananim, Yihiyu Lehagi, Yashar Adonai, Tzuri, Velo Avlatavo. We'll turn the page and we'll welcome the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us according to some of our mystics. 2 angels come to spend Shabbat with us. Shalom Aleichem, top of 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashari, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Boach Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have welcome Shabbat. Shabbat is with us. We're now going to begin the Arvit Shabbat service, the evening service for Shabbat, page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Vaed. Page 147, let's read responsibly in English. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom.
Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures.
Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Harabim. Top of 148, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shochenu u'vkumeinu, Nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, v'yorech yameinu, u'vahem nehege yomam v'layla, Yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavat techal tasir mimenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher nochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'beitecha, u'vlektecha b'derech, u'v'shokbecha u'v'lumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'isharecha. Leman tizkeruhu v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem u'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 151, let's read responsively. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness amidst our grasp is imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes, there's a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant
Everyone will reclaim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
Learning God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate His power and makes for freedom.
Top of page 152. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nohora tehilot, osef beheleh, malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, zeili anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch le'olam moed, v'nehmar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, u'ga'alo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Top of page 153, Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. And let's read together in the English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, aporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Top of page 154, verses from the book of Shemot, verses from the book of Exodus. It's Vishamru, and it's not Shabbos without it. Page 154. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם בברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בהיתולם. We are at the Amidah, pages 155, 156, and 157. We'll chant together. Then we'll go silently 158 through the end on 168. And you can finish the prayer in the Hebrew, read the English translation, or offer up your own meditative prayer. And there is one insertion tonight, and that is on page 161, where it says Rosh Chodesh, Pesach, and Sukkot. It's Yale V'Yavo, and we add this during Chol HaMoed, and it's for Chag Sukkot HaZeh, or for Sukkot. So, and you can find the English on that on the top of 162. But we're going to begin together on 155 with the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tifkach u'li'agi tehilalecha. Adonai sifatai tifkach u'li'agi tehilalecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Hagadol, Hagibor, Handorah, El Elyon, Omer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Lezocher Chasdei Avot Leimachot, Umevi Goel Lifnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magid. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Abraham, v'Yezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, v'chayei metim atarav l'hoshia. Mashiv haruach u'marit Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, v'chayei metim b'rachamim rabim. Sohomech noflim v'rofech cholim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato l'shenei achar, michamocha ba'evuchot, u'midom melech, melech me'mid u'mechayem, U'matzliach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hametim. Still completing Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We are going to jump ahead to page 160. And let's read together the paragraph in English in the middle of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy, our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. Top of page 162, let's read the piece that's called Yale B'Yavo, and the insertion will be for Day of Sukkot. Our God and God of our fathers and our mothers, be truly mindful of us and all your people, Israel, on this day of Sukkot, and renew us in love and compassion, goodness, life, and peace. This day, remember us for well-being, Amen. This day, bless us with your nearness, Amen. This day, help us to a fuller life, Amen. And a little bit of Hoda'ah, a little bit of gratitude and thanksgiving on page 163. Let's read responsively. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
Through the world with our hearts, our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
Our harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
And we'll close out our evening Amidah, the prayer for peace, or a prayer for peace. In the evening, it's Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, Bechol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivorech et amo Yisrael, Shalom. Page 253, the Mishaberach for healing. If you have someone in that you know who needs a little bit of extra healing, physical, emotional, spiritual, keep them close to your heart and in your thoughts as we prepare for Mishaberach, middle of page 253. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Lehi Mohoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeha imotenu, Mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Pages 258 and 259, prayers of our community. And Ed for our congregation, please. Top of 258.
Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. Make those who teach and nourish to be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits and wisdom of understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levatcha b'yirah na'avo. Maury, prayer for our country, please.
Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness.
Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim, Yishlayu Havayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shavashamayim, Tzur Yisrael V'Goalo. Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reishit Tzmichat V'Ulatein. Hagein Aleha V'Yavrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha V'Amitcha, L'Rasheha Sereha V'Yoetzeha. V'Takneim Be'etzad Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam Niyoshveha, V'Nomar,
Amen.
Amen. Dennis, in English, please.
O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the states of Israel. That marks the drawing of hope for all who seek peace. Shelter is beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for reading. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, and
Shabbos.
Moadim L'Simcha.
Shabbat shalom.
There you go. All right, close enough. That works. That works. It's a mouthful, right? So this week's Torah portion is from an earlier Torah portion in the book of Exodus. When you are in the middle of a holiday, Pesach and Sukkot, you don't have a regularly scheduled Torah reading that follows in order, which is why Parashat Ha'azinu does not get read in the synagogue, which is not Ha'azinu, I'm sorry, the Zot HaBracha does not get read on a Shabbat morning. Next week, we start with the book of Bereshit. We start the Torah all over again. So this week, we have the Torah portion for the Shabbat of Sukkot, and it's from Parashat Kitise. And this is a famous parsha. It's where Moshe goes up and is communing with God, and God says, you know, that group that you left down there, they're up to no good. They're building something that you're going to be upset about. And of course, Moshe is upset and goes down and he sees that they had built the Egel HaZahav, they had built the golden calf, and he smashes the tablets. this is where our portion picks up, where God goes up to the mountain. Moshe goes back up to the mountain, and he and God are having a meeting, and Moshe asks to see God's face. And God says, nope, can't do that. Human beings can't look upon me directly and live. So what God says is, I'll place you in the cleft of a rock here, and I will pass by you, and you can see me as I go past. And, the rabbis say that, Moshe saw God's back, the back of God. God then says to him, well, now that we've done that, let's get down to work. You have to carve out a new set of tablets. I gave you the first ones. You broke them. You've got to write your second set on your own. And so Moshe does that. We get the 13 attributes of God in this reading. And we heard those all throughout the high holidays. Adonai, Adonai, El, Rachum, V'Chanun. That's how they begin. We recite them on the holidays, and Moshe recited them at this time. We get the command to observe what are called the Shalosh Regalim, and these are literally the 3 feet, right? The 3 pilgrimage festivals in which we would have to travel to Jerusalem to offer our sacrifices or to take the money that we had set aside for our sacrifices. And of course, they are Pesach, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And there's another piece that's thrown in, another reminder of Shabbat. Right? So along with the 3 pilgrimage festivals, we're reminded about Shabbat yet again. And God says that I'm going to make a covenant with the people. I'm going to enter into this brit. I'm going to enter into this contract. I will be their God. They will be my people. And this is this week's Torah portion in a nutshell. It just a little piece from a longer parsha, but gives us some very important imagery, most notably the 13 attributes of God and the reminder to observe the festivals. So Shabbat Shalom, Good Shabbos, and Moedim L'Simcha. Good Shabbos. That's right. So, and the reason it goes in that order, well, I mean, Good Shabbos could go first and then Shabbat Shalom, but the reason the Moedim L'Simcha is last, in our tradition, the thing you do the most always goes first. Right? So if you come to a morning minyan that's on a weekday, you put your talis on first, and then you put on your tefillin. Because you put your talis on every day, every morning, except for the morning of Tisha B'Av, and then you put it on in the afternoon, but you only wear tefillin during weekdays, not on holidays, not on Shabbat. And so the talit goes on first because you do that the most. We have more Shabbats during the year than we have Sukkot, and that's why it goes there. Part of Sukkot, especially the Shabbos of Sukkot, we read one of the Megillot. We read the book of Kohelet, which is translated as Ecclesiastes. And it's attributed to Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, who wrote from Passover, which we read this Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. And now for Sukkot, we have Kohelet. And so the biblical scholars argue whether it was really King Solomon who wrote these or not. But the commentators say that Solomon wrote Song of Songs in his youth because it's a love poem. It's filled with beautiful imagery. It's filled with love. I mean, it would be a Hallmark movie if Hallmark movies were rated R, because there's some pretty racy stuff in Song of Songs. And then Kohelet, he writes later in life. Song of Songs is read at the beginning of our year, the year of months, with Nisan, Passover, the spring, and Kohelet wraps it up at the end of the year with the harvest and the onset of winter. Kohelet has an interesting view of the world. He notes that the world runs in cycles, right? If you were a fan of 60s music and you knew the band The Byrds, there's a time for everything. That's where they got it. They get this from Kohelet. A time for X and a time for Y. Right? There's a time for happiness and a time for sadness, a time for singing and a time for weeping, a time for birthing, a time for dying. The big piece to take away from Kohelet, and I think is why we read it during Sukkot, is that he looks at our worldly possessions and says that they're vain and transitory, right? They're not going to last long. And we know this. We know this, right? You buy a new iPhone on Monday, and on Friday, you want another one, or a different one comes out, right? You buy a computer on Tuesday, and by the time you get it to the parking lot in your car, it's outdated, and you feel that you have to buy a new one, right? So we put our hope in, the more stuff we have, the better person we are. All right, and it was when I guess it was in college when I first started to see it. He who has the most stuff when he dies wins. Right? Are you familiar with that idea? You're still dead, right? I mean, it's not about collecting things. And that's the point of Sukkot. If you go out into a sukkah, it's a flimsy kind of dwelling. It's not meant to be permanent. And if you go out into a sukkah that's been put up according to the traditional way, if it rains, you get rained on. If it snows, you get snowed on. If you look up, you can see the stars, right? There's a little bit of protection, but not a whole lot. And that's to remind us that the material things in our world are not secure. And he says, Havel, Havalim, Hakol, Havel. Utter futility, all is futile, right? This is not the feel-good Megillah, right? If you're having a bad day, you do not want to read Kohelet, because Kohelet will make your day worse, right? But it's an idea that we sometimes rebel against, right? No, everything's going to be fine. I'm going to live forever. My house is never going to suffer during a storm. It's all is good. Maybe not. This was not originally assigned. All of the Megillot that we read on the holidays, Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs in Passover, the book of Ruth on Shavuot, Esther for Purim, they were all assigned much earlier. It's not until the Middle Ages that we start reading Kohelet as part of Sukkot. And part of the reason is that the rabbis in the Middle Ages felt that Sukkot was sad because it didn't have its own Megillah. Even Yom Kippur has its own type of Megillah, the book of Yonah, and Sukkot didn't. When you read it, you might be tempted to think that it's just a collection of random proverbs and aphorisms. It really isn't. There is a cohesive structure. And there's a single consciousness that runs through the book. And the person who is there is meditating on and mediating the book's observations. Right? Kohelet is very active in the book. He's in the foreground, and he's a distinctive character. He's commenting on his world, and he sees that his world lets him down more often than it raises him up. And one of the nice things about this is if you read the book of Kohelet, you see that he describes how he reached these conclusions. It's not that he's just a curmudgeon. It's not that he just decides that, he's going to be the old man shaking his fist at the cloud that passes in front of the sun, or the kids playing on his front lawn. Kohelet has reasons for why he feels this way. And the book is filled with contradictions, much like life, right? Joy and sadness, life and death. There's a time for everything under the sun, right? There's a whole spectrum of life to be there. Some of it's enjoyable, some of it's not. He basically says nothing lasts forever. Life is messy. Right? He could have written a very short book if he would have just said, life is messy. But that's Kohelet, and we read him and his work on Sukkot. And so Shabbat Shalom, Good Shabbos, and Moedim L'Simcha. Maury?
Kaddish.
Shikharton.
Kaddish, or
Kiddish.
Kiddush, there you go. Well, is it time for Kaddish? We could just jump right there. No, it's time for Kiddush. Thank you, Maury, and give a little bit of help from Judy. Kiddush for Shabbat. Yes, indeed. ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ בכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו. כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו מצוותיו ורצה לנו. בשבת קודשו, באהבה וברצון, הנחיל לנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Kedem grape juice, you cannot beat it. You cannot beat it. All right, we're going to begin closing out our Friday evening service. Page 282. Aleinu. Aleinu l'shafeach la'adon ha'kol, la'ateit gedula liyotzeh b'shit. Shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama. Shelo sam chelkeinu kahen, v'gor aleinu k'chol ha'olam. V'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noteh Shamayim v'Yosed Haaretz, u'Moshe Yikaro b'Shamayim Imah, u'Shminatu Zo, v'Govei Meromim, u'Eloheinu v'Od, Emet Mokeinu efes ulato, Takatu v'Torato, v'yadat hayom v'hashivota, elevanecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim v'mal, v'haaretz v'tachat einu. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar Haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We are at Psalm 27. We still have a couple of days to read Psalm 27. We stop at after Hoshana Rabbah, which is Sunday. So just a couple of days left, and we'll put Psalm 27 back in its rotation. But let's read it responsively in English. Of David, Adonai is my light and my help, whom shall I fear? Adonai is the stronghold of my life, whom should I dread?
When evildoers draw near to me to devour my flesh, when my foes and enemies threaten, they trip and they fall.
Though armies besiege me, my heart shall not fear. Should war beset me, still do I trust.
One thing do I ask of Adonai, it is that I seek to dwell in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, to behold the Adonai's sweetness, to gaze upon God's paths.
God hides me in God's shelter on the day of evil, conceals me in the recesses of God's tent. On a rock, God raises me up.
And now my head rises over mine enemies around me. Let me offer in God's tent sacrifices with joyous shouts. Let me sing and hymn to Adonai.
Hear, O Lord, my voice when I call. Grant me peace and answer me.
Of you my heart said, seek my face. Your face, Lord, do I seek.
Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in wrath. You are my help. Abandon me not, nor forsake me, O God of my rescue.
Though my father and mother forsook me, Adonai would gather me in.
Teach me, O Lord, your way, and lead me on a level path because of my adversaries.
Do not subject me to the will of my foes, for false witnesses rose against me, breathers of violence.
Had I not the assurance that I would enjoy the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living?
Hope for the Lord, let your heart be firm and bold, and hope for the Lord.
Lehulei hamanti lerot katuv Adonai be'eretz chaim, kaveh el Adonai, chazak b'yemei tzlibecha, v'kaveh el Adonai. We continue observing Shloshim for Victor Krupman. This week we observed the following yard sites: Ida Glick, Betty Kolker's relative; Blanche Hamill Edelson, Evelyn Wiles' mother; Martin Levy, son of Leon and Ruth; Solomon C. Greenfield, Joyce Levy's father; Lawrence Good, Paul Mayer's brother-in-law; Benjamin Malmut, son of Nathan and Sarah, brother of Esther; Lake Poland Sr., Lake and Marilyn's grandfather; Bernard Sklov, Stanley and David's father; Joe T. Friedman, son of Julius and Lena, husband of Jill, father of Susan, Barnett, Vaughn, and Richard, Pauline's cousin; Walter M. Hayflett, Jerome's brother; Josephine Smith, wife of Bernard, mother of Jeff, Mark, Gabe, and Steve; Charles Footlick, Betty Kolker's uncle; Martin Edward Weil, Evelyn's husband, father of Mark and Michael; Isidore H. Boos, husband of Adele, father of Stan and Franklin; Joseph Kolker, father of Matt and Lee, Jared's grandfather, Herb's brother; Isidore Hyman, Derek's uncle; Ruby Spurlock Hartz, wife of Leonard, Maury's mother; Isidore Hyman, Derek's uncle; Frances Elizabeth Poland, relative of Lake. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all, and may they always rest in peace.
Amen, amen.
Mourner's Cottage is found on page 294. Yitkadal Yitkadash Shnei Rabbah Ba'alma Yivrach Yirutei Yamlit Malchutei B'chayechon B'yomechon U'chayei B'tol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'bizman Kari B'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Orach Olam Omel Maya Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitbahar, Yitroham, Yitnaseh, Yithadar, Yitalev, Yithalal, Shmei, Kushah, Rihu, Leila, Yikol, Yachata, Veshirata, Tushbachata, Vinechmata, Da'amiram, Da'ama, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo, Rabba, Yishmaya, L'chaim, Amen, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Yiramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael,
Amen.
Amen. All right, friends, we are almost finished with our evening service. A couple of announcements. I mean, it's a short week because of the festival, but we have so much going on this week, you won't believe it. Service is tomorrow morning at 10, and then Sunday morning at 9. Sunday morning at 11:30, Federated is having a brunch, and so you would have gotten the announcements for that. Monday morning, services at 10 a.m. for Shmini Atzeret, and there will be Yizkor on Monday morning. Monday evening at 7, we'll have a little bit of a Simchat Torah festival. We'll have the Yiddish choir singing. We'll have a tour of the Torah, and we'll celebrate with some singing and lots of Freilichkeit, a lot of happiness and joy. And then Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, we'll have morning services for Simchat Torah as well. Not 100% sure about Yiddish choir on Wednesday, but I'll know more tomorrow. And then we are back on Friday for Erev Shabbat services at 6, and then Shabbat morning, and then Sunday morning. So it's a busy beginning of the week, lots going on between Sunday and Tuesday, and it's the end of the high holiday season. It's the very, very end, the tail end, and then we'll get into the month of Mar Cheshvan that has no holidays, nothing except for Shabbat. And then, of course, after Cheshvan comes Kislev, and there's that nasty Hanukkah holiday in there. So I don't know which is worse, the 8 nights of Hanukkah or the almost month and a half of festival. I don't know. But we'll be freilich regardless. Judy, did I miss anything? Oh, the food drive.
Yes,
David's food drive, keep bringing food in, dry goods, non-perishable goods. There was something else that we mentioned. Ah, that's right. You could bring in a check, and then we'll buy the food, or someone will buy the food. So yes, dry goods, non-perishables, and a check. Bring in all 3. I mean, that'll be great. And I think that's it. That is it. So we'll close out with Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nitzon V'nasa B'chem Sokol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Tichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Norah Vehu Haya Vehu Hoveh Vehu Yeh V'tifara Vehu Echad V'ein Sheni Lahamshir Lo Lahachbira V'li Reishit V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'ha'misra Vehu Eli V'chai Goalim V'tzor Chevli V'yehitzahara Vehu Nisi Umanosli Menat Kohosi Biyom Ekra Biyado Akiduchi V'eti Shan B'yahira V'imruchi Geviyati Adonai Li V'lo Hira. Oh, we have lots of people who are reaching out via the interwebs this evening. And so we have Kyle Swan, good Shabbos, thank you, Kyle, send you. ML Glazer and Herman, there they are. Send all a good Shabbat and a week of peace, thank you, and you too. David Johnson, good Shabbat, thank you, David, to you. And there's Mom, Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbis Mom and Cliff. Thanks, Mom and Cliff. Wishing all a peaceful weekend and week. All right, friends, we are live for all of the events coming up. Please join us. It's more fun when there are people around. And hope to see you soon. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, Modim L'Simcha.
Good Shabbos.
And please be careful out there.
Good work in the park.
All right.